to make a Catholic microbrewery. Like, no one's ever done that before. So you need to have a lot of
inspiration.
Yeah, it's going to start on the board. A lot of creativity. So the inspiration is this neat thing that artists talk about. And I could lay out the 7 steps of the art, but I want to instead like kind of make this a bigger deal. You're actually doing the thing as a small step. This is what I'm trying to show. Inside the artist, in order for you to be actually executing and doing it, there has to be things that came about before that. This role of an idea, I'm going to put it as idea/choice, is different from artistic or from moral choice. In a moral choice, you have a million ways to express an end. But an idea, when you have an idea, you no longer have a choice. So in other words, you have to know artists to see this. You cannot. If I really was convinced of where that statue of Mary should go, she could not go anywhere else. I mean, she could, but it would be ugly. Once you're like, Father Nathan, in this room, find the spot for Mary. And I stood here, what would happen? What would be happening? I'd be like, shh, quiet, hush, quiet. Why? I'm about to be inspired. Stop, hush. And I'd be like, no, I can't. What do you mean you can't? Put the statue somewhere. I can't. I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it today. I gotta go home. And then they lay in their bed. And they get up. Maybe they walk in their favorite garden. They go back and forth. And then they put on their music. And then all of a sudden they're like, I got it. I know exactly where she needs to go. What the heck was that? And then if you try to convince that person where she could, if I was like, she's got to go here, you would not be able to. I'd be like, no, you just don't know what you're talking about. That is the place. Look, I don't see. Well, that's because you're an idiot. That's the spot. I'm absolutely convinced and passionate about it. And then if you're like, it's not going there, I'd be like, that's it. I'll quit. Because this idea, choice, what's amazing about it is that the choice and idea go hand in hand. They're like, for an artist, they call it the necessity of the means. Necessary means. You can't. I mean, you can do it differently, but it's a different thing. How about that? Could you paint it differently? Yeah, and it would be a different painting. I got one shot. That's what's so great about art. It's all about one shot. It's this stroke. It's this color. It's that light at that moment. And that's why you're going to pay me $5,000 for it, because there's only one. It's this. See, what we're used to is prints, like the face of Jesus. You're like, oh, I got one of those. But the original of that, you can make a print out of it, but when you actually have the original, you have something that's a million times more beautiful. That's only a symbol of the original. That's a picture of the original. But a picture is not the original. A picture is not the painting. When you actually look at real masterpieces, all the art that we have in this room is all reproductions. That's why we need to see Bree's stuff and have her teach us. Here's an example. This is a one-of-a-kind. This is an original. You couldn't make a print of that because it'd be a print. That has texture to it, that has light, that has shading. That's a thing one person made and there is no other like it. That's why it's worth so much more. It's so much more valuable. And that means that in order to make it, she had to make a ton of choices about how to do it. And you can't then make it and have something different. In art, the means impose themselves. That's why this could be easy and this could be kill. This could be death. Because you're waiting for it all to snap together. And if you live your ethical life like an artist, you just are like, I'm going to love you this way. And you better like it because it's the best way. And they're like, that's not how I'm a quality time person now. Right? I was like, I learned by discussion. And I'm like, well, just shut up because I'm not a discusser. My classes are not discussion. My classes are lecture. What's that? That's called art and not ethics. Right? So you're like, yeah, you're brilliant. Now be quiet because you haven't even taught. Congratulations, you gave a class that was completely ineffective. But as an artist, you're like, yeah, well, that's what I do. Well, then go somewhere where there's 400 people and not 3. How this works. Idea of choice in art is necessary. Look at the difference. In ethics, there's a million ways. In art, there is a million ways that crystallize. This inspiration is source. It's source of 1,000. Sometimes, depending on the person. Sometimes it's always linked. When I, for example, am really inspired, my idea comes instantly. I just know. I don't spend a lot of time playing with stuff. It clicks in me. I just know what we should do. What we should do. Not ethically. It might be wrong. It might be the wrong choice. But I know what I want to do. Other people, they get their inspiration, and inspiration is source of so many possibilities. But they're playing with them, but all of a sudden they'll crystallize. Or it'll never crystallize at all. A lot of art is trying and not knowing what to do. Right? So if you listen to artists, like that actor, Laurence Olivier, how did he know how to say those lines? He probably said them. In Lethal Weapon, I think it's Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. Mm-hmm. They would do their dialogues, and then they would do them really fast, and then they would play them like a comedy. So in their dialogues, they'd actually be trying to make it funny. Actors do this all the time. They sit around tables and they just play. They play parts. They throw it around because they're waiting for it to crystallize, to formulate into a one. And the more that thing is one, the more powerful their role. They nailed it. They act from the center. They found their center. And when you really find your center, you're like the source of a genius, because you're like, it's like the face of that king that we looked at. You're looking at it like, oh my gosh, that is absolute genius. So you found the center. But find the center, how do you do that? And then it's in the moment. There's the setting and how the other person responds, and there's just that beautiful synergy that sometimes happens when you're acting that you could never reproduce. And there's just this total energy between people. And when you ride that energy just right, it's what's that guy's name? The improv dude of Good Morning Vietnam, Robin Williams. I mean, it was just there, but it was there after hours and hours and hours and hours of play. And the inspiration where he just got to allow himself to be free. I knew a dancer, and she would literally just get in a room, close the door, and for 3 or 4 hours a day, just be dancing to find what she was going to perform for us during a 40-minute performance at the end of the week. She spent 15 hours searching to find that center. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you feel it? Give me an example where you were inspired in your life. We just said it's facere. Yeah. So go back to a moment where you made something and ask yourself, was this phase there?
Inspiration phase?
Yep. Yeah. Talk to me.
And I did some woodworking for like a year. And I was definitely inspired. Probably not the best inspiration, but TV show, Parks and Rec. One of the guys on there just really good at woodworking. So I was like, I'm going to do that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Can you talk to me about a moment where you knew what you had to do in a realm where there was many things you could create, but you were like, I have to do this.
When I was a kid, I made this chessboard, and I was so particular about what pieces of wood I used, the grains in them. I handpicked every single one of them out, and I had extra pieces, and for some reason it was specific. These pieces had to go together, and it's just
cool. Nice job. It's a neat example. So now, in ethics, if you've got a crying child, is there only one way to solve it? Or if you wanted to teach a child, passion. That's why it's really hard. If you're a really ethical kind of person, sometimes art you don't even get because you're like, how do you know what to do? You know, if I were to sit at the piano, 88 keys, how would I know where to start playing? You know, where's this coming from? But an artist, they feed their inspiration on a moment that precedes it, called artistic experience. It's a very unique kind of experience, and not everybody has it. So there's two kinds. I'm going to put of the fine arts, but I'm also just going to put of good workers. In the artistic experience of a fine artist, there's an experience of sensations at their peak quality. So Vincenzo, in order to get sponsors for his microbrewery, when he says, I went to Belgium and I spent a summer working with the monks, everyone's like, that's it, he's going to make it. And why? Because they're like, his inspiration is going to be formed by the finest experience that there is. You can't get any better than Belgium monastic beer, and that's exactly where I spent a month. I know a girl, I hope you guys can look up this place, I'm very proud of her. She's an Eagle Eye graduate. She's formed Luce Leather Crafts. Where you know where she is right now? She's in Italy. Before Italy, she was in Paris. And she's going to spend 3 years of her life working at Gucci and Prada, doing nothing but making the finest luxury purses that there are, so that she knows what the best leather is, and the best everything is. And she's going to come back to the United States and she's going to do it for the gospel. But you see, she's feeding herself. And when you've tasted the #1 beer of the year on the trail, and you've tasted it at its peak quality, you could never go back to Coors Light. Because what you're going to do is you're like, that beer's talking to me. Look at the layers, the colors, the intensity, the volume, all these crazy attributes that you learn to savor. And what that does is it makes that inspiration richer. A good worker is the same way. Sometimes it's not the sensations at their peak quality, because you got to kind of be an artist for this. This is what makes you an artist. Bree goes out and she sees green, and she's like, and you're just like, it's green. She's like, and then she's like, I gotta paint, you know, and it's like, I have to, there's something there. Well, like, she's an artist. That's an artist. But, well, you're kind of. But this good, I mean, you are too. We're all artists. Everybody's an artist. We're all the same. Everybody gets a blue ribbon. For a good worker, there will also be the same artistic experience. If you're going to be a good worker, period, things just like being around work well done. It's maybe not a sensitive thing. Look at the trees. But when you've worked with the man who keeps his garage clean, and you've seen how he cares for his tools, and you've seen the way that he drives that combine through the field, the way that he cleans it, the way he cleans it, etc. If you have that experience, your inspiration is going to be the richer for it. Because what the inspiration is, this would be a whole class. Not all what we do in this year's class in morality is we just do nothing but walk through these. In philosophy of art, we walk through all these things. But I just want you to get the overview. And this inspiration, what it is the intelligence that's seeing in the sensible quality possibilities. And you can't control it. That's what's so hard. Hemingway used to talk about writing and say, the piece of paper is the great white bull. I have to wrestle the white bull. One piece of paper that after he's done with it could carry a priceless treasure of incredibly crafted words. And yet the same piece of paper is empty right now. Great. So you have all kinds of stories of artists. That's why they go to like their little hideaway places, you know, where their sensations and intelligence can be so one that they can be inspired. But that inspiration for the artist becomes a choice when it becomes an idea. And then that idea has to be carried out by the production so that it comes to a finished product. And then they judge the product. Okay, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So I'm missing some. Missing one. Finished product, value, judgment, artistic count. So of course it's the end. 1. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7th is contemplation, rest. He just finishes and he stands back and he says, like Michelangelo finished the statue of David, gives him that statue. It's kind of obscene, a strange statue. And yet, at the end of it, he stands back and he says, now breathe. Breathe. It's over. He did it. He made it. He wanted to make it, he made it. So from him going in the quarry mines and feeling the marble, Michelangelo used to go and he would just feel the marble. He would put his arms around it. He would touch it. And he wouldn't know what he was going to make until he saw the marble. And then when he was in front of the marble, he saw the statue inside that marble. And he said that my carving is actually me releasing the statue from the marble. It's like, that's the mind of an artist. You're like, what? This is so weird. Unless you're an artist, in which case, like me, you're just have goosebumps right now. Because you know that artistic experience, I'm in the marble, I feel it, I smell it, I work with it, I know it. In my oils, I make them myself. That's not the red I want. It's not the blue I want. It's this one, it's this one, it's this blue that I saw, and you're in it. And then that artistic experience feeds this inspiration. What am I going to do with that blue? I know what I'm going to do with it. And this is what I have to do. So I do it. I finish it. And then I judge it. I say, that's garbage. And I throw it away. And the rest of us shriek, breathe, no, give it to me. And she's like, I won't let you. I'm going to shred it. It's garbage. You see kids playing the piano? Terrible. I won't play. They've studied it for 20 years. I won't play. Why? Because it's just not good enough. Is it frustrating? Pianists are the most frustrating people to be around. And it's because of this. When you listen to what they're supposed to sound like, and you're like, then you listen to me, it's no good. But when you value judge it correctly, or at the end, when it gets a thumbs up, then you're just like, it's all right, now the reason I put them out here in 7 steps is because you have a parallel at many levels. First moment in love is that you're at the party, so you drink a couple times, and then you're like, everybody's good. Just joke, but that's like kind of like that. Suddenly there's like that opening. Okay? Well, that's kind of like artistic experience. I'm walking in the woods, and I'm like you had it when you were walking on that rock between the 2 lakes.
Yeah.
Where the rest of us are still like, that was kind of weird.
Awesome.
It was just, we were surrounded by awesomeness.
Between 2 lakes.
What was special?
I don't know. On either side there was a lake. We had seen many lakes, and you can look at that lake, but if you turn to your right, there was not another lake. Right there was a lake there, and there was a lake there.
At that moment, you were having kind of an artistic experience.
Yeah.
It's analogous to it. You're just like, right? So that could have moved you to be suddenly gotten silent, right? And then we're like, what's going on, Vince? You're like, I know what it is. I get this way sometimes. Those experiences when I start like ad-libbing or acting, and like usually young people don't even care, they don't understand what's happening. But like I'll just know suddenly how to be, and I'll totally nail it. People never appreciate it. It's very frustrating for artists. It's not underappreciated artists, because you're like, that was totally genius. This happens to me all the time when I'm in the outdoors, because they're all like chewing on their grass and like they're aching, and you're like giving like the most perfect performance of something. Well, those moments come. They're just these glimpses. So artistic experience, right? Into this weird thing called inspiration.
We loved the story.
Yeah, that was an example. Those stories were so good, and I finish, and no one says anything. You guys like it? I'm still mad about that. You realize how genius that was? You tried doing it. Hiking uphill with the backpack. That was a story, and I just nailed it. Like, that was an awesome story.
We were so overwhelmed by like the thought that he was really Jim Bridger the whole time. I was like processing it. I was actually like, oh.
It's all right. It's all right. So kind of like, you see how sensitive artists get? Because for us, this experience and this choice are like so passionate because it's so obvious. It's like, this is it. And what's passed through is called my intelligence. So now I'm actually showing how awesome I am. It's like, she knows what I'm talking about. And so when then people are like, you know, or when I play the harmonica and people talk, it kills me. That's why I don't play the harmonica. They're like, why don't you play the harmonica? I'm like, because you don't want to listen. It happened to me on the trail. I was playing a harmonica, and everyone in the group except one person started talking to each other. And they were like, I'm like, what do you think I'm doing here? What do you think I'm doing? I'm expressing truth here. Truth cares. Because when you like, it probably wasn't very good. I don't know what it was. Probably not. But you can't let artists dominate. This is the real life. But you see the similarity, but you see the difference.
Artists are sensitive.
Look at the similarities, look at the difference. Similarity of artistic experience. What's one thing? It's about sensitive, sensible. It's not about people. It's not about heart and compassion. It's the way the kid looks. Take a picture. Right, so there's a kid in the street. The guy's getting shot by the other guy, and the cameraman's taking a picture. Why weren't you throwing the camera? You know, how could you watch the guy get his head blown off and take a picture of it? That's what he did. You know, I'm not making a judgment on the cameraman, but he may have been there to take pictures and not been there to love people. See how this works? Similarity, but a difference. Inspiration and intention. There's a lot. This is a huge one. We get these two things mixed up, it'll screw up the rest of your life. When you think that your intention is the same as inspiration, you become a lousy artist. I made this room out of love for you. I wallpapered it out of love. It's got like, you know, wallpaper of like the planets or something. You're like, that's the stupidest wallpaper. And then they start crying because it was a gift of love. Like, it was a gift of love, but it was a bad wallpaper. So I love the love. I love the intention, but it was lousy. Rip it down. People, I mean, you can't. But if you do the same thing and you're like, there's like, you know, like, I don't know, I want to care for Vincenzo in the hospital bed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write him poems. And Vincenzo's laying there going, and I'm like, hold on, I'm writing you a poem, honey. I know you're feeling the love right now. Oh, this is awesome. It's like, wait a second, you know, your intention needs you to take care of his pain. And you're like, I need to take care of his pain. I'm writing him a poem. It's like, you've totally confused it. Because it's not because you want to do it that it's the right thing. And intention actually is a lot more attentive to it has to be attuned to what he needs. My students need interaction. And I'm like, I'm giving them the greatest class of all time. I'm not. That works. Similarity, difference. Idea, choice, huge. This class, I'm going on and on because this is really important for the rest of your life. What choice are you making? Are you making it the right way? Look at all the stages that this implies. Comparing, okay. The making the thing and acting out, very different. Genuine encounter with the object versus the value, judgment, and contemplation. All right. God bless you. Breathe. Close your eyes. Tell me what the two kinds of artistic experience refer to.
Fine arts and the
Vincenzo, tell for me this numbers 4 through 7 of artistic experience.
Oh, 4 through 7?
Talk to me, Goose. Trying to man it up, bro.
3.
There's truth and falsehood. There's right and wrong.
3 is choice.
Talk to me, good. But we're looking for 4 through 7, bro.
Yeah.
Congratulations, that does not count.
So then you actually make the product, and then there's a value judgment, and then contemplation. But I'm missing
Finished product. Good job.
make product, finish product. Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Choice, making, and finished. Judgment, contemplation. Regina, close your eyes. Regina, what's the difference between artistic choice and ethical choice?
Artistic choice.
Good job of that.
Yeah, nice job, bro. We're jiving, man. Back pursuit.
I mean, the artistic comes from the 2 types of expressions, but it's more, I mean, an act from the person, where the ethical, well, they're both acts, but the ethical choice is like deciding to do something with the intentions of the person in mind, of the personal, like, intending a personal encounter, where the artistic choice is more like your personal feelings that you want to share.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. Bree, close your eyes. What's the Latin word for command?
Imperium or something.
Nice job.
Was it?
Vincenzo, close your eyes. What's the Latin word for just do it?
Fuck, Hulk.
Yes. You guys all pass. Good. Any questions?
How do you say thirst in Latin?
Sitio means I thirst.
Sitio?
I told him thirst would be a good name for a brewery.
Like thirst for knowledge.
Thirst. The thirst place. There was that. That's good. Sitio.
That's pretty cool.
All right.
Fuck, Hulk is pretty good too.
Yeah, it just could be mispronounced.
What's going on?